A surprise WWE FASTLANE return has been leaked, but first, a much anticipated AEW debut has been confirmed. Former Goddess of Stardom champion Maria May has garnered attention regarding her next career move, this following her departure from the Japanese promotion. In recent weeks, there's been several reports linking the Brit to both AEW and WWE, although it looks like her decision has now been made. In this week's edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer would mention that Maria May is now expected to join All Elite Wrestling, potentially as part of a group surrounding former AEW Women's World Champion Toni Storm, who has undergone quite the transformation as of late. Regarding a recent social media tease that something was imminent from Maria herself, Meltzer would confirm that a recent tweet regarding taking a flight right before the WrestleDream event wasn't related to AEW, and she actually flew home to the UK that day. May would take part in the Stardom 5-Star Grand Prix Finals event last weekend, where she competed against Hanan, although in the post-match she would confirm that this was her last appearance in Stardom, at least for now, with us now anticipating her AEW arrival. And next we have 3 major injury updates that could affect AEW. New Japan Pro-Wrestling star Mercedes Moné recently suffered an injury during the finals of the inaugural NJPW Strong Women's title tournament against Willow Nightingale at New Japan Strong Resurgence, resulting in her reported AEW debut at Forbidden Door 2 being postponed. However, she was seen in the crowd at AEW All in London, a sign that her debut was still in the works. The latest update on the situation comes from this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter, where it was confirmed that Mercedes is now out of her walking boots, something we discussed on last night's video after she was spotted during an Instagram livestream. Whilst the exact date of her in-ring return remains a mystery, Meltzer would state that based on the information that he has, upon her return, Moné will perform for NJPW, Stardom, and most significantly, AEW. Additionally, the newsletter provides an update on both El Hijo del Vikingo and Bandido, who injured his wrist during an AEW Rampage taping in June, is expected to be cleared for action in the coming weeks. AAA Mega Champion Vikingo, on the other hand, sustained a hip injury at an ROH taping, and despite returning to the ring recently, he showed signs of discomfort during matches in Dallas and at a recent AAA event, stating that he's still hurting a lot. We now wait to see if his return to the ring will be put on hold, and how long it will take for him to get back to full health. And next, a WWE star has addressed a rumored CM Punk reference on SmackDown. On last night's episode of SmackDown, WWE commentator Corey Graves would make a statement that caused a stir among wrestling fans, with many taking it as a reference to a potential return of CM Punk, whose future remains a mystery following his recent AEW termination. On the show, Graves would drop the line in question during a graphic to promote tonight's Fastlane WWE World Heavyweight Championship match, and he would say, "The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was making the world forget that he existed." The line struck a chord with the wrestling community due to its resemblance to a line previously used by CM Punk during an infamous Ring of Honor promo, with it later being reused by MJF during their rivalry in AEW. With that said, Graves has since taken to social media to suggest that the line had nothing to do with Punk, telling fans that they really need to see The Usual Suspects, which is the true origin of the phrase, albeit with slightly different wording. With that said, the line Corey Graves used was word for word the same as the movie. Of course, it's likely that Corey knew what he was doing and is trolling the fact that fans would have picked up on it as a CM Punk reference, especially in light of recent Seth Rollins related segments, with him no doubt knowing the reaction he'd received by throwing it out last night. And speaking of returns, an injured star is set for their AEW comeback. Danhausen has been inactive since March 2023 due to a torn pectoral muscle that he sustained at the AEW Revolution pay-per-view. During the event, he partnered with Orange Cassidy in a 4-way AEW World Tag Team Championship match, which included the then champions The Guns, The Acclaimed, as well as Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. On last night's episode of AEW Rampage, a vignette would air that revealed the very nice, very evil one is now set to return to the ring, this after several months on the shelf. Prior to his injury, Danhausen had linked up with Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor, and Trent Beretta of Best Friends, although it remains to be seen if this alliance will continue, or if he is set to return as a single star, or perhaps he could link up with Cassidy and Hook. It also remains to be seen when he will step back in the ring, although the vignette would suggest that his return isn't too far away. Next up, an AEW star feels this long-awaited rematch is inevitable. During AEW Wrestle Dream, Adam Copeland, formerly known as Edge in WWE, made an appearance and interacted with his former tag team partner, Christian Cage. The subsequent week on Dynamite, Copeland would discuss his motivations for moving to AEW, suggesting he team up with Christian one more time. However, Cage, the current TNT champion, declined in a very rude way. On his Extreme Life podcast this week, Matt Hardy would discuss the possibility of a rematch between the Hardys and their historic rivals, Cage and Copeland, with him feeling the match is inevitable, and he would note, I mean, I pretty much feel that is inevitable when you say that, but like you said, we're a long ways away. I mean, you have to remember that Edge is such a huge deal on his own. I still think that Adam Copeland and Christian Cage still have a lot of stuff to do on their own. I think down the road, they obviously will reunite and reconcile, they'll figure out things one way or the other, and then we'll be back together. Hardy would then add that though the bout won't be as crazy as their TLC and ladder matches during the Attitude Era, Hardy still believes that they're capable of having a great match together. But do you want to see Edge and Christian versus the Hardys one more time in AEW? Let me know in the comments down below. And next, could two major WWE factions be set to form a dangerous alliance? At tonight's WWE FASTLANE event, the Judgment Day's Finn Balor and Damian Priest are slated to defend their WWE Undisputed Tag Team titles against Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. This one, the Bloodline's Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa are set to face off against John Cena and LA Knight. On the FASTLANE Go Home episode of SmackDown, an interaction seems to suggest that the Judgment Day and the Bloodline will now be working together. On the show, members of JD were seen inside the Bloodline's locker room waiting for Jimmy Uso, Paul Heyman, and Solo Sikoa, and when the trio arrived, Rhea Ripley would approach Paul Heyman for a private discussion, suggesting a collaboration between the two factions in order to fight a common goal. Whilst Heyman expressed interest, he was clear that he would need approval from his tribal chief, Roman Reigns, something Rhea pushed back on. She then told Heyman to acknowledge her, of course a line out of Reigns' book. Heyman would later confirm that approval has been given by his boss, with this perhaps setting up an angle for Survivor Series, with maybe a Bloodline and Judgment Day joined team as one of the sides in War Games against the likes of John Cena, LA Knight, Cody Rhodes, and Jey Uso on the other side, but that's just speculation. And next, a major WWE higher-up is leaving the company. Following the recent merger of WWE with UFC on September 12, the TKO Group has streamlined its operations, resulting in the departure of over 100 staff members on the WWE side of the business. This due to the MMA and wrestling promotions combining their departments. This on top of several main roster and developmental talent cuts. According to Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, yet another major departure has been confirmed, as it said that WWE President Nick Khan informed staff through an email this week that Suzette Ramirez-Carr, the company's Executive Vice President of Human Resources, is on her way out of the door. Ramirez-Carr will be leaving her position on November 3rd, this after joining WWE in May 2022, with her reporting directly to Vince McMahon. Before her tenure with WWE, she worked for the United Talent Agency, Beauty Counter, and Oak Tree Capital Management. And next up, a surprise WWE Fastlane return has been leaked. Rey Mysterio was scheduled to captain an LWO team in tonight's WWE Fastlane event against Bobby Lashley, Montez Ford, and Angelo Dawkins. However, recent events on SmackDown saw Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde being incapacitated during a singles match involving Mysterio and Lashley. As a result, Mysterio indicated that both men would not be participating in the six-man match tonight, before alluding that he would be teaming up with Santos Escobar and a yet-to-be-revealed teammate. According to a report from PW Insider, this twist is expected to pave the way for the return of former Intercontinental Champion Carlito, who has long been rumored to be returning to the promotion, and the report notes, WWE ran an angle tonight where Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro were taken out of action before tomorrow's LWO vs Street Profits and Bobby Lashley bout at the 2023 Fastlane pay-per-view. PWInsider.com is told by WWE sources that the angle was specifically done to bring Carlito back, as the company has been waiting for a storyline entrance for him after signing him to a new deal over the summer. Although there were reported plans to introduce Carlito on a July episode of SmackDown, this plan would later be scrapped. It's worth noting that Carlito has made a guest appearance at WWE Backlash in Puerto Rico on May 6, supporting Bad Bunny in his match against Damian Priest, representing the Latino World Order. And before you go, make sure you check out what's next for the WWE releases of September 2023.